parking garage erupted into chaos as three masked men dragged the woman toward the waiting van, her designer heels scraping against concrete as she fought and screamed. Kiana Ford, CEO of a billion-dollar tech empire, was seconds away from disappearing forever. The kidnappers had planned everything perfectly. Late evening, empty garage, no witnesses. But they hadn't counted on one thing. Alec Jennings, a janitor finishing his shift, pushing his cleaning cart around the corner at exactly the wrong moment. Or maybe the right one. What happened next would seem impossible. A single father with $23 in his wallet and a 9-year-old daughter waiting at home, going up against armed professionals. But Alec made a choice in that split second. A choice that would transform both their lives forever. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed because tomorrow, I've saved something extra special for you. Alec Jennings had exactly $23 in his wallet, a 9-year-old daughter asleep 3 miles away, and 45 minutes left on his shift when he heard the screams. The Pinnacle Tower stood in the heart of Austin like a glass monument to corporate success. Its 47 floors housing some of the city's most powerful companies. Alec worked the night shift, 6 p.m. to 2 a.m., mopping floors and emptying trash cans that executives never thought about. He was invisible to most people who worked here, just another face behind a cleaning cart, and that was fine with him. Invisible meant steady work, and steady work meant his daughter Emma got to eat. Tonight had been routine. 5th floor restrooms, check. Conference rooms on 12 through 15, check. Executive suites on 42, check. His knees ached from kneeling to scrub baseboards, and his lower back sent sharp reminders that he wasn't 20 anymore. At 34, Alec felt closer to 50, but that's what working 3 jobs did to a person. The cleaning cart's wheel squeaked as he pushed it toward the parking garage elevator, the sound echoing through empty hallways. His phone buzzed with a text from Mrs. Rodriguez, his neighbor who watched Emma during his night shifts. She's asleep. Don't worry about waking us when you get home. Sweet dreams about dinosaurs again. Alex smiled despite his exhaustion. Emma and her dinosaurs. Last week she'd corrected her teacher about the difference between the Jurassic and Cretaceous periods, earning herself a gold star and a reputation as the class know-it-all. Her mother would have been proud. Sarah had always encouraged Emma's curiosity, right up until the cancer took her 2 years ago. He typed back a quick thanks, his rough fingers leaving smudges on the screen. The December cold was already seeping through the building's underground garage as he wheeled his cart toward the service area. His 2003 Honda Civic waited in the far corner of employee parking, a reliable rust bucket that got him where he needed to go. Alec was calculating whether he could pick up an extra shift at the grocery store this weekend when he heard it. A woman's voice, sharp and frightened, cutting through the concrete stillness. "Get away from me." He stopped, listening. The parking garage amplified sounds strangely, bouncing them off support pillars and low ceilings. For a moment, he heard nothing. Maybe he'd imagined it. Maybe some executive was just having a loud phone conversation. Then came the scream. Alec abandoned his cart and ran toward the sound, his worn sneakers slapping against concrete. He rounded a corner and froze. 3 men in dark clothes and ski masks surrounded a woman in a business suit. She was fighting, kicking, screaming, but they had her arms pinned. A black van sat 20 feet away, engine running, side door open like a hungry mouth. "Help!" The woman's eyes found Alec. "Please, someone help me." One of the men looked up and saw him. For a split second, they locked eyes. The man was bigger than Alec by 50 pounds, all muscle. And he moved with the confidence of someone who knew how to hurt people. Alec should have run, should have called 911, and stayed hidden. He had Emma to think about. A daughter who'd already lost one parent and couldn't afford to lose another. The smart thing, the safe thing, was to be a good witness from a distance. But Sarah's voice echoed in his memory. "You're one of the good ones, Alec. Don't ever let the world change that." He grabbed a fire extinguisher from the wall and charged. The men weren't expecting resistance from a janitor. Alec swung the extinguisher like a baseball bat, catching the nearest kidnapper in the shoulder. The man stumbled back with a grunt of pain. Alec pulled the pin and sprayed, white foam erupting in a cloud that filled the space between them. "Run," he yelled at the woman. She didn't need to be told twice. The moment the men's grip loosened, she twisted free and sprinted toward the stairwell. One of the kidnappers lunged after her, but Alec threw the extinguisher at his legs. The man went down hard, cursing. The third man, the one who'd locked eyes with Alec, pulled something from his jacket. A gun. Alec's stomach dropped as he stared down the barrel, all his courage evaporating in an instant. He thought of Emma waking up tomorrow to find out her daddy wasn't coming home. "You just made the biggest mistake of your life," the gunman said, his voice cold through the mask. Before he could pull the trigger, a car alarm exploded into sound. The woman had reached the stairwell and smashed the emergency fire alarm on her way through. Suddenly, the garage was chaos, lights flashing, sirens wailing, and somewhere in the building above, people would be evacuating. The gunman hesitated, looking toward the van, then back at Alec. His partners were already moving, scrambling toward the vehicle. "This isn't over," he said, then ran. The van's tires screeched as it peeled out, leaving black marks on the concrete. Alec stood there, shaking, hardly believing what had just happened. He'd just fought off kidnappers. Him, a janitor, who could barely afford his rent. "Are you okay?" The woman's voice came from behind him. She'd emerged from the stairwell, breathing hard. Mascara, smeared from tears. Up close, Alec recognized her from the building directory in the lobby. Kiana Ford, CEO of Nexus Technologies. Her face had been on the cover of Forbes last month. "I think so," Alec managed. "Are you?" "Because of you." She was staring at him like he'd grown a second head. "You just saved my life. You could have been killed." "Yeah. Well." Alec's legs felt weak. The adrenaline was wearing off, leaving him hollow and shaky. Couldn't just stand there and watch. Sirens approached from outside, real police this time. Someone must have called 911. Kiana looked toward the exit, then back at Alec, something shifting in her expression. "What's your name?" "Alec." "Alec Jennings." "Alec." She said it like she was committing it to memory. "Thank you, doesn't seem like enough." "It's plenty." He glanced toward where his cleaning cart sat abandoned around the corner. "I should probably get that before security sees it." "Wait." She pulled out her phone, fingers flying over the screen. "I need to get your information. I want to properly thank you, and the police will want your statement." Alec gave her his number, the same cheap prepaid phone he'd been using for 2 years. As he recited the digits, he noticed Kiana's hands were shaking. The composed CEO facade was cracking, revealing the terrified woman underneath. "Hey," he said gently. "You're safe now, they're gone. For now." Her voice dropped to barely a whisper. "But Alec, those men knew exactly where I'd be, and when. This wasn't random. Someone wants me dead, and they're not going to stop, because they failed once." The police arrived in a flood of uniforms and questions. Alec gave his statement 3 times to 3 different detectives, describing the men, the van, every detail he could remember. By the time they released him, it was nearly 4 a.m. His shift supervisor had left 6 angry messages about the abandoned cleaning cart. As Alec finally climbed into his Civic, exhausted and sore, his phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "This is Kiana. I meant what I said about thanking you properly. But more than that, I need your help. Those men will come back, and next time I might not be so lucky. Please call me when you can. And Alec, be careful. If they find out you helped me, you could be in danger too." Alec stared at the message for a long time before starting his car. He should delete it. Pretend tonight never happened. Go back to his safe, invisible life. But he knew he wouldn't. Something had changed in that parking garage. He'd stopped being invisible, and there was no going back. The morning sun was too bright as Alec stumbled into his apartment at 4:47 a.m. His body ached from the fight, Adrenaline crash, leaving him hollow and exhausted. But Emma would be up in 2 hours for school, and she'd need breakfast, clean clothes, and her vocabulary homework signed. Mrs. Rodriguez appeared in his doorway before he could close it, her weathered face creased with concern. She was 63, a retired nurse who'd lost her own husband 5 years back. She understood what it meant to raise someone alone. "You look terrible," she said bluntly. "What happened?" "Long night at work." It wasn't technically a lie. "Thanks for watching, Emma. Always." She studied him with knowing eyes. "There's coffee made if you need it. And Alec, whatever trouble you're in, don't shut people out." After she left, Alec collapsed on his threadbare couch, Kiana's text message burning in his mind. He should ignore it. Getting involved with whatever corporate conspiracy had prompted a kidnapping attempt was insane. He had Emma to think about, responsibilities, a life that couldn't afford complications. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. His phone rang. Unknown number. But he knew who it was. "Hello? Alec. It's Kiana Ford." Her voice was strained. "Urgent. I'm sorry to call so early, but I need to see you, today. It's important." "Miss Ford, I don't think that's a good idea. Please, just give me 30 minutes. There's a coffee shop called The Grind on West 6th Street. Can you meet me there at noon?" Alec thought about saying no. He really did. "I'll be there." He managed 3 hours of restless sleep before Emma's alarm went off. His daughter bounced into the living room, all energy and wild bedhead, wearing her favorite dinosaur pajamas that were getting too small. "Morning, Daddy." She launched herself at him, and Alec caught her, ignoring his sore ribs. "Mrs. Rodriguez made pancakes last night. She put chocolate chips in them even though you say not to." "Mrs. Rodriguez is a bad influence," Alec said, tickling her until she shrieked with laughter. Getting Emma ready for school was a practiced routine. Brush teeth, wrangle hair into ponytails, find matching socks, pack lunch, check homework folder. Normal, comforting tasks that kept Alec grounded. This was what mattered. This was his real life. Not dramatic parking garage rescues or mysterious CEO meetings. He dropped Emma at Oakwood Elementary at 8:15, watching through the fence as she ran to join her friends on the playground. She was laughing, carefree, innocent. Everything good in his world. "Mr. Jennings?" A teacher approached, the young woman Emma had corrected about dinosaurs. "Do you have a minute?" Alec's stomach dropped. "Is Emma in trouble?" No, nothing like that." The teacher smiled. "I wanted to tell you that Emma's teacher nominated her for the Gifted and Talented program. She's exceptionally bright. There's testing involved, but it could mean special opportunities." "That's great." Alec tried to muster enthusiasm, but all he could think about was how gifted programs probably cost money he didn't have. The teacher seemed to read his mind. "The program is free, provided through the district. We just need parent permission to test her." After signing the forms, Alec headed to his day job at Henderson's hardware store. He stocked shelves from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., minimum wage and no benefits, but it was legal and honest. His manager, Bill, was a decent guy who didn't ask questions when Alec occasionally needed schedule changes. "You look rough," Bill observed as Alec clocked in. "Everything okay?" "Just tired." Alec grabbed his inventory scanner. "I'll be fine." The morning dragged. Every time the store's front door opened, Alec tensed, half expecting masked men to storm in. He was being paranoid. He knew, but Kiana's warning kept echoing. "If they find out you helped me, you could be in danger too." At 11:45, Alec clocked out for lunch and drove to The Grind. The coffee shop was deliberately hip, all exposed brick and recycled wood furniture, populated by laptop warriors nursing $5 lattes. Kiana sat in the back corner, wearing jeans and a hoodie, designer sunglasses hiding half her face. She'd clearly attempted to dress down, But the watch on her wrist probably cost more than Alex's car. Thank you for coming. She gestured to the chair across from her. I ordered you a coffee. I didn't know how you take it. Black is fine. Alex sat, acutely aware of his work, uniform, and paint-stained jeans. Miss Ford, what's this about? Call me Kiana, please. She removed her sunglasses, revealing dark circles under her eyes. And it's about what happened last night. The police asked me questions for 5 hours. They seemed more interested in my business dealings than in catching the kidnappers. Isn't that normal for this kind of thing? Maybe. She leaned forward. Alec, I run a tech company worth $1.2 billion. We develop cybersecurity software for government agencies, defense contractors, major corporations. Last month, I discovered something in our financial records. Discrepancies. Money going places it shouldn't. Alec's stomach sank. You think someone at your company is stealing? Not just stealing. Selling our software to foreign entities, hostile governments. I'm talking about code that protects nuclear facilities, power grids, military communications. In the wrong hands, it could cause catastrophic damage. And the kidnapping? Someone found out I was investigating. Her hands trembled around her coffee cup. They want me gone before I can expose them. The police suggested I hire private security. But Alec, I don't know who to trust. Someone high up in my company orchestrated this. They have resources, connections. Why are you telling me this? Kiana met his eyes. Because you're the only person who helped me when I needed it. You didn't know who I was or what I could offer you. You just did the right thing. That's rare in my world. I'm a janitor and a stock clerk. I can't help you with corporate espionage. You already did. You saved my life. She pulled an envelope from her bag. This is $10,000, cash. I want to hire you. Alex stared at the envelope like it might explode. $10,000. That was 3 months of rent, Emma's school supplies for the year, maybe even that trip to the science museum she'd been begging for. To do what exactly? To watch my back. I need someone around me who doesn't have ties to my company. Someone those men won't expect. You're ex-military, right? I can tell from how you moved last night. I did 2 years in the National Guard, but that was over a decade ago. I'm not a bodyguard. You're someone I can trust. That's more valuable than any training. Kiana pushed the envelope across the table. Please, Alec, I'm scared. Those men had guns, and they knew exactly where I'd be. My own driver called in sick yesterday, which is why I was alone. Someone is coordinating this from inside, and I don't know who. Alec thought about Emma, about the risks of getting involved. But he also thought about the teacher's face when she talked about the gifted program, about opportunities his daughter deserved. If I do this, Emma comes first. Anything that puts her at risk, I'm out. Agreed. Kiana extended her hand. Deal? Alec hesitated, then shook it. Her grip was firm, desperate. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. A photo loaded slowly, and Alec's blood turned to ice. It was Emma on the playground, taken this morning. The message below read, "Beautiful daughter. She looks just like her mother. Would be a shame if something happened to her too." What? Kiana saw his expression. What's wrong? Alec showed her the phone, his hands shaking with rage and fear. They know about Emma. They're threatening my daughter. Kiana went pale. Oh God. Alec, I'm so sorry. You need to get her somewhere safe. Right now. Alec was already moving, grabbing his keys, the envelope forgotten on the table. He had to get to Oakwood Elementary. He had to protect Emma. Behind him, Kiana grabbed the envelope and followed. I'm coming with you. We're in this together now. Alec broke every speed limit getting to Oakwood Elementary. Kiana sat in the passenger seat of his Civic, phone pressed to her ear as she coordinated with someone. Private security, maybe, or lawyers. Alec wasn't listening. All he could think about was Emma, innocent and vulnerable, playing on that playground while someone watched her. The school appeared intact, no police cars or ambulances. That was good. That meant nothing had happened yet. Alec parked illegally in the fire lane and ran for the entrance, Kiana right behind him. The receptionist looked up, startled. "Mr. Jennings, is everything okay? I need to see Emma. Right now." "Sir, it's the middle of the school day. Is there an emergency?" "Yes." Alec's voice was harder than he intended. "There's an emergency. Get my daughter." Something in his face must have convinced her. She picked up the phone, spoke quietly to someone, then nodded. "Mrs. Patterson is bringing her from the classroom now." Emma appeared 2 minutes later, confused and a little scared. "Daddy, what's wrong?" Alec scooped her up, holding her tight, breathing in the strawberry scent of her shampoo. She was safe. She was here. "We're going home early, sweetheart. But I have art class after lunch, and we're making papier-mâché volcanoes. We'll make one at home." He set her down, taking her hand. "Come on." Emma noticed Kiana for the first time. "Who's that?" "A friend. Her name is Kiana." "Hi, Emma." Kiana crouched to Emma's level, managing a smile despite the tension. "I've heard you're really smart. Your dad says you know everything about dinosaurs." Emma's face lit up, momentarily distracted. "I do. Did you know that velociraptors were actually the size of turkeys, not as big as in the movies?" "I didn't know that. You'll have to teach me more sometime." In the car, Emma chattered about her morning, oblivious to the danger. Alec drove to Mrs. Rodriguez's apartment instead of his own. If someone was watching his place, he couldn't take Emma there. Mrs. Rodriguez opened the door at his knock, taking one look at his face and immediately understanding something was wrong. "What do you need? Can Emma stay here for a few hours? Maybe overnight?" "Of course." She looked at Kiana with open curiosity, but didn't ask questions. "Come on, mija. Let's make cookies." Emma hesitated. "Will you come back, Daddy?" "Always." Alec kissed her forehead. "I promise, but I need you to stay here with Mrs. Rodriguez and be good, okay?" "Okay." She hugged him tight. "Love you, Daddy. Love you more." Once Emma was safely inside, Alec turned to Kiana. "We need to figure out who sent that message. I already have someone on it." Kiana showed him her phone, a friend who specializes in digital forensics. "He's tracing the number now, but these people aren't amateurs. It'll take time." "We don't have time. They threatened my daughter." "I know, and I'm sorry. This is my fault." Kiana looked genuinely anguished. "You shouldn't have gotten involved. Too late for that." Alex started walking toward his car, then stopped. "We need to go somewhere public. Somewhere we can think, without looking over our shoulders." They ended up at a busy downtown hotel lobby, all glass and marble and tourists checking in with roller bags. Anonymous and safe. They sat in plush chairs near the bar, far enough from other people to talk privately. "Tell me everything," Alex said. "The money trail, the discrepancies, all of it." Kiana pulled out a tablet. 3 months ago, I noticed unusual wire transfers from our operating account. Small amounts at first, $50,000 here, $100,000 there. In a company our size, that's pocket change, easily overlooked. But it kept happening, always to the same shell company registered in the Cayman Islands. "You traced it?" "As far as I could." The shell company has 3 layers of ownership, all dead ends. But the transfers always happened after major contract signings. Defense Department deals, mostly. We'd win a $50 million contract, and a week later, $500,000 would disappear. Someone's taking kickbacks, or selling access to our code. Kiana pulled up financial documents. "Last month, I hired a private investigator. Someone independent, outside the company. He found something. The shell company is linked to a defense contractor called Sentinel Solutions." Alec frowned. "I don't know that name. Most people don't. They're a small operation, but they've won several contracts recently. Contracts that should have gone to bigger, more established companies. Someone's helping them, giving them insider information about our bids, our technology, maybe even our actual software. Someone at Nexus. Someone high up. It has to be. Only senior executives have access to that information. Kiana's face was grim. I have 5 people on my executive team. 2 of them have been with me since the beginning. I trust them completely. The other 3 were hired in the last 2 years. Any of them could be the leak. What about the investigator? What did he find? Kiana was quiet for a moment. He's dead. Car accident last week. Police ruled it mechanical failure. Brake line ruptured. But Alec, he called me the night before he died. Said he'd found proof, that he knew who was behind everything. He was going to bring me documents the next morning. Let me guess. No documents were found in his car. Nothing. And his office was cleaned out, hard drives wiped, files gone. Someone made sure whatever he discovered died with him. Alec leaned back, processing. This was so far beyond his understanding. Corporate espionage and murder and international conspiracies. He fixed toilets and mopped floors. He had no business being in the middle of this. But Emma's face on that photo, the implied threat, that made it personal. Okay, he said. We need a plan. First, we keep Emma safe. She stays with Mrs. Rodriguez. Maybe we even send her out of town for a while. I can arrange that. I have a cabin in Colorado, very remote, off the grid. We could send them both there. Good. Second, we figure out who's behind this. You said 5 executives. Kiana nodded. Michael Brennan, Chief Technology Officer. Been with me 8 years. Gregory Hunt, Chief Financial Officer. 5 years. Vanessa Cole, Chief Operating Officer. 3 years. Daniel Price, Chief Security Officer. 2 years. And Jennifer Huang, Vice President of Government Contracts. 18 months. The security chief has only been there 2 years? Daniel came highly recommended. Former Secret Service, impeccable credentials. Former Secret Service, who couldn't prevent your kidnapping. Kiana's eyes widened. You think Daniel's involved? I think it's convenient that your head of security wasn't there when you needed him most. Where was he last night? He called in sick. Flu, he said. She pulled up her phone. He's actually called in sick for the past 3 days. 3 days. Alec felt pieces clicking together. When did you tell your executive team about investigating the financial discrepancies? Last week. Monday. I called a meeting, told them I'd discovered irregularities, and was conducting an audit. Kiana went pale. Oh God. Daniel called in sick on Tuesday. Because he knew the kidnapping was coming. He didn't want to be anywhere near you when it happened. Didn't want to be implicated. But Daniel has been vetted extensively. Background checks, security clearances, everything. Which makes him perfect for the job. Someone that clean is above suspicion. Alec stood. We need to find out where Daniel Price really is. If he's been sick for 3 days, he's somewhere planning his next move. Kiana's phone rang. She looked at the screen and answered immediately. What did you find? She listened, her face going from tense to shocked. Are you sure? Okay. Yes, thank you. She hung up, looking at Alec with wide eyes. That was my forensics guy. The phone that sent you that photo? It's registered to a burner account, untraceable, but the metadata shows something interesting. The photo was taken with a telephoto lens from a vehicle parked on the street near Oakwood Elementary. Same model and color as a car registered to Sentinel Solutions, the defense contractor. It gets worse. Sentinel Solutions office address. It's the same building as Daniel Price's personal security consulting firm. They're literally in the same suite. Alec felt cold fury settling in his chest. So your head of security is working with the people trying to kill you, and they just threatened my daughter to keep us quiet. What do? We do what they don't expect. Alec pulled out his phone. We go on offense. Alec's plan was simple but risky. If Daniel Price was coordinating the attacks, they needed proof. And the best place to find proof was where people got careless. At home. You want to break into his house? Kiana stared at him like he'd suggested robbing a bank. Alec, that's illegal. So is kidnapping and threatening kids. He pulled up a map on his phone. Daniel lives in Barton Hills, right? Expensive neighborhood, lots of security cameras. We can't just walk in. Then how? We don't walk in. We get invited. Alec looked at her. You're still his boss. Call him. Tell him you need to meet urgently about the investigation. Make it sound like you suspect someone else, that you need his security expertise. Kiana considered this. If he thinks I don't suspect him, he might let his guard down. Exactly. Set the meeting for tomorrow morning at your office. That gives us tonight to search his place while he's preparing. Us? Kiana raised an eyebrow. You're a janitor, not a burglar. I grew up in East Austin before it got gentrified. Let's just say, I know how to get into places I'm not supposed to be. They spent the afternoon planning. Kiana called Daniel, playing her part perfectly. She sounded worried, stressed, asking for his advice on security protocols. Daniel agreed immediately to meet at 9 a.m., his voice smooth with false concern. He bought it, Kiana said after hanging up. God, I trusted this man with my life. He's been to my house for dinners. I introduced him to my parents. People are good at hiding who they really are. Alec knew that too well. He'd thought his own father was a decent man until he walked out when Alec was 12, leaving him and his mom with nothing. They picked up Emma from Mrs. Rodriguez's apartment at 5 p.m. His daughter ran to him, covered in cookie dough and happiness. Daddy, Mrs. Rodriguez taught me how to make snickerdoodles. Can we make them at home? Sure, baby. Alec hugged her, breathing in the simple joy she radiated. But listen, we're going on a little trip tonight. How would you like to go to the mountains? Emma's eyes went wide. Like camping? Will there be bears? Not camping exactly. Kiana has a cabin there. You and Mrs. Rodriguez are going to stay for a few days. Kind of like a vacation. What about school? I'll talk to your teacher. This is important, Emma. His daughter studied his face with that unsettling perception 9-year-olds sometimes had. Are the bad people trying to hurt you? Alec's chest tightened. She was too smart for her own good. I'm keeping you safe. That's all that matters. Mrs. Rodriguez agreed to the plan without hesitation. I raised 3 boys. I know how to handle trouble. We'll be fine. Kiana arranged everything. A private car, driven by someone from her personal detail, who'd been with her family for 20 years. Someone she trusted absolutely. They loaded Mrs. Rodriguez and Emma with supplies, warm clothes, enough food for a week. Thank you, Alec told Kiana as they watched the car drive away. For protecting her. It's the least I can do. Emma's in danger, because of me. They stood in silence for a moment, watching Emma's face pressed against the car window, waving goodbye. Alec felt the familiar ache of separation, but this time it was laced with real fear. What if something went wrong? What if he never saw her again? She'll be safe, Kiana said quietly, reading his thoughts. The cabin is completely off-grid. Solar power, well water, no internet. No one knows about it except me and my oldest friend who manages the property. How do you have a place like that? My father was paranoid. Successful immigrant parents often are. He taught me to always have an escape plan. A place where no one could find me if things went bad. She smiled sadly. I used to think he was overreacting. Now I'm grateful. At 10 p.m., they drove to Barton Hills. Daniel Price's house was exactly what Alec expected. A modern, minimalist fortress with clean lines and expensive landscaping. Security cameras covered every angle. Motion sensor lights illuminating the property. There's no way we're getting past all that, Kiana whispered from where they'd parked down the street. Yes, there is. Alec pointed to the house next door, currently under renovation. Scaffolding covered one side, tarps flapping in the evening breeze. Contractors leave equipment everywhere, including ladders. They waited until midnight when the neighborhood went quiet. Alec found a ladder exactly where he expected, leaning against the renovation project. He carried it to the back of Daniel's property, where the camera coverage had a blind spot. Every security system had one. People always thought about the front and sides, but rarely looked up. They climbed onto the roof, then worked their way to a skylight. Locked, but the lock was basic. Alec used a screwdriver from his toolkit to pop it open in under 30 seconds. "Where did you learn that?" Kiana asked. "Misspent youth." He dropped through the skylight into what appeared to be a home office. "Come on." Kiana followed less gracefully, landing with a soft thud. They were in. The office was neat to the point of obsession. Everything had its place, no papers left out, no clutter, Daniel's military background showing. But that precision would work against him. A man this organized would have records. Alec started with the desk while Kiana checked the filing cabinets. Locked, of course. But the desk drawer yielded a key ring, and one of them fit. Inside the cabinet were folders. Lots of folders. Contract proposals, security assessments, personnel files. And then Alec found it, a folder labeled Sentinel Solutions. Kiana. She came over immediately. Inside were documents that laid it all out. Emails between Daniel and someone named Victor Morse, CEO of Sentinel Solutions. Discussions about the Ford problem and how to neutralize her investigation. Bank statements showing payments of $250,000 transferred to an offshore account in Daniel's name. "This is it," Kiana breathed. "This is proof." Alec photographed every page with his phone. "We need to get this to the police." "To who?" "Daniel has contacts everywhere. We don't know which cops are clean." "Then we go to the FBI. Federal jurisdiction, harder to corrupt." They were gathering the evidence when they heard it. The garage door opening. A car pulling in. "He's home," Alec hissed. "I thought he was preparing for tomorrow's meeting." "So did I." Kiana's face was pale. "We need to hide." But there was nowhere to hide. The office was sparse. Minimal furniture, no closets. They could hear footsteps now, coming up the stairs. Daniel was heading straight for the office. Alec made a split-second decision. He grabbed Kiana's hand and pulled her toward the skylight. They climbed out just as they heard the office door opening below. On the roof, they lay flat, hardly breathing. Through the skylight, they could see Daniel enter. He went straight to the filing cabinet, noticed it was unlocked, and froze. His hand moved to his waistband, pulling out a gun. "I know you're here," he called out. "I have motion sensors on the skylight. The alarm sent me an alert 20 minutes ago." Alec's stomach dropped. They'd walked right into a trap. Daniel pulled out his phone. "Victor. They're at my house." "Yes, both of them. Ford and the janitor." A pause. "I'll handle it. Send the team to the cabin location. If we can't use the man's daughter as leverage here, we'll grab her directly." "Emma." They knew about the cabin. Alec didn't think, just moved. He dropped through the skylight, landing behind Daniel. The older man spun, bringing the gun around, but Alec was faster. Years of manual labor had made him strong. He grabbed Daniel's wrist, twisting it until the gun clattered to the floor. They fought in the close quarters of the office. Daniel was trained, professional, but Alec fought with desperation. He thought of Emma, innocent and trusting, waiting at a cabin these monsters knew about. A lamp shattered. A shelf collapsed. Daniel got in a solid punch that split Alec's lip, but Alec responded with an elbow to the ribs that drove the air from Daniel's lungs. "Kiana, run!" Alec yelled. "Warn Mrs. Rodriguez." But Kiana didn't run. She picked up the gun. "Stop," she said, her voice deadly calm. "Both of you, stop right now." Daniel and Alec froze, both breathing hard. Kiana held the gun steady, pointed at Daniel. "You're going to call Victor back," she said. "You're going to tell him it was a false alarm, that it was just a raccoon on the roof. Then you're going to sit down and tell us everything." Daniel smiled, and it was chilling. "You won't shoot me, Kiana. You're not a killer. Try me." Her finger moved to the trigger. "You threatened a 9-year-old. You tried to have me kidnapped. You murdered my investigator. Right now, I'd be perfectly happy to put a Frenet Thames bullet in your leg and listen to you scream." Something in her voice made Daniel believe her. He made the call, gave the all clear, but as he hung up, he looked at them with cold confidence. "You think this changes anything? Victor has 15 men. Even if you run, even if you hide, they'll find that little girl. And when they do, they'll use her to make both of you cooperate. You can't win this." Alec's blood ran cold because he knew Daniel was right. They had evidence. But evidence meant nothing if Emma was in danger. "Then we don't run," Kiana said. "We end this tonight. All of it." They tied Daniel to his desk chair using zip ties from his own security equipment. Poetic justice, Alec thought, binding the hands of a man who'd made a career of protecting people while plotting against them. "Talk," Kiana ordered, the gun still trained on Daniel. "How many people are working with you?" Daniel laughed, the sound bitter. "You really want to know how deep this goes? Fine. Victor Morse has contracts with half the defense establishment. Generals, admirals, Pentagon officials. They all get kickbacks from Sentinel Solutions. Your technology, Kiana, your beautiful cybersecurity software, it's worth billions to the right buyers. Foreign governments," Alex said, pieces clicking together. "Among others, criminal organizations, terrorist groups, anyone with deep pockets and enemies to spy on. Victor's been selling modified versions of Nexus code for 3 years. Your software protects power grids. Now it can also shut them down remotely. Secures military communications. Now it intercepts them." Kiana's face had gone white. "My company was supposed to protect people. Your company is a gold mine. And you were about to expose everything because of your conscience." Daniel shook his head. "Victor wanted to buy you out quietly, make you rich beyond measure to look the other way. But you're too idealistic. So he decided to remove you and install someone more cooperative, CEO. Who? Your CFO, Gregory Hunt. He's been on Victor's payroll for 2 years. Alec felt sick. The corruption went higher than they'd thought. What about the kidnapping? Those men in the parking garage? Private contractors. Former military. No loyalty except to money. Victor has 20 of them on retainer. The 3 you fought off were just the advanced team. And now?" Daniel smiled. "Now Victor knows you're onto him. He'll escalate. By morning, there'll be warrants for your arrest, Kiana. Falsified evidence of embezzlement, corporate fraud. You'll be in custody before you can present anything to the FBI. We have proof." Kiana gestured to the documents. "Everything's photographed, backed up. Digital evidence, easily dismissed as fabricated. You'll need more than photos to convince a federal judge, especially when Victor has 3 judges in his pocket." Alec pulled out his phone and called the number for the cabin. It rang 5 times before Mrs. Rodriguez answered, her voice cautious. "Alec, are you safe? Is Emma okay?" "We're fine. She's sleeping. What's wrong?" "They know where you are. You need to leave now. Take Emma and drive to the nearest town. Check into a motel, pay cash, don't use your real names." "How far behind are they?" "I don't know. An hour? Maybe 2? Just go." He heard movement in the background. Mrs. Rodriguez's voice waking Emma, explaining they needed to leave. His daughter's sleepy protest, then understanding when she heard the urgency. "Daddy?" Emma's voice came on the line. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine, baby. Just do what Mrs. Rodriguez says. I'll call you when it's safe. I love you." Love you more." After hanging up, Alec turned to Daniel. Where would Victor send his men? The cabin first. When they find it empty, they'll spread out, check motels, gas stations. They have resources, Alec. You can't hide a 9-year-old forever. We don't have to hide forever, just long enough to take Victor down. Kiana was pacing, thinking out loud. We need leverage. Something that forces Victor to back off, that makes him more afraid of us than we are of him. He's a defense contractor worth hundreds of millions, Daniel said. What leverage could you possibly have? His clients. Alec had an idea forming. Victor's selling illegal technology to foreign governments and criminal organizations. That's treason. If we can prove who he sold to, what they've done with the technology, the government will have no choice but to act. Those records are encrypted, hidden across multiple servers. You'd need a team of hackers working for weeks. Or someone with access to Victor's personal files. Kiana looked at Daniel. You've been working with him for years. You must have access credentials, security codes. Daniel laughed. You think I'm going to help you? I think you're going to make a choice. Kiana's voice was ice. Help us take down Victor, and maybe the FBI goes easier on you. Refuse, and I'll make sure every detail of your involvement gets leaked to the media. Your face will be on every news channel as the traitor who sold out his country. I have immunity deals in place. From Victor, he'll burn you the second it's convenient. Alec leaned in close. You said it yourself. No loyalty except to money. The moment you become a liability, you're dead. Just like that investigator. Just like Kiana was supposed to be. For the first time, doubt flickered across Daniel's face. He was smart enough to know they were right. Victor Morse didn't leave loose ends. What exactly do you want? Access to Victor's private server. The one where he keeps his real records. That's at his estate. Security like Fort Knox. Then you'll help us get in. Daniel was quiet for a long moment. If I do this, I want full immunity. Written agreement from the FBI. We'll do our best, Kiana said. But you're going to have to earn it. They spent the next hour planning. Daniel provided layout diagrams of Victor's estate. Security protocols. Shift schedules for the guards. He also gave them something valuable, an access code that would get them through the front gate. Why are you really helping? Alec asked as they prepared to leave. Daniel met his eyes. Because Victor threatened my family too. Last month, when I hesitated about the kidnapping plan, he had photos of my daughter, my ex-wife, everyone I've ever cared about. I did what I did to protect them. But you're right. He'll kill us all eventually. Better to take him down first. At 3 a.m., they left Daniel tied up in his office and drove toward the hill country where Victor's estate sprawled across 200 acres. Kiana called her forensics expert, the one who'd traced the phone, and arranged for him to meet them there with equipment. This is insane, she said as they drove through the dark. We're about to break into a billionaire's compound with minimal planning and no backup. You have a better idea. Running, leaving the country, starting over somewhere Victor can't reach. Us. And abandon Emma? Let these people win? Kiana was quiet. No. You're right. We finish this. They arrived at Victor's estate. At 4:15 a.m. The property was massive, all iron gates and surveillance cameras. A private kingdom built on blood money. Daniel's access code worked, the gate sliding open with barely a whisper. So far, so good, Alec muttered. They made it 50 yards before the lights came on. Floodlights, everywhere, turning night into day. And there, standing in the driveway with a dozen armed men, was Victor Morse himself. He was smaller than Alec expected, maybe 5'8", with silver hair and an expensive suit despite the hour. He looked like someone's kindly uncle, not a traitor selling out his country. Miss Ford, Victor called out pleasantly. I've been expecting you. Did you really think Daniel could resist my influence? He called me the moment you left his house. He gestured to his men. Please, step out of the car. Let's talk about this like civilized people. Alec looked at Kiana. They were trapped, outgunned, betrayed. Daniel had played them perfectly. What do we do? Kiana whispered. We get out slowly. We stall. And we pray that Mrs. Rodriguez got Emma far enough away. They exited the car, hands visible, as Victor's men surrounded them. Game over. Or so it seemed. Victor's study was exactly what Alec expected from a billionaire with too much power. Floor-to-ceiling bookshelves lined with leather-bound volumes that had probably never been read. Modern art that cost more than most people's houses. Furniture that whispered money and taste. They sat in chairs that were somehow both comfortable and intimidating while Victor poured himself scotch. Can I offer you anything? He asked, playing the gracious host. Coffee, perhaps? You both look exhausted. Cut the act, Kiana said. What do you want? Want? I have everything I want. Money, influence, power. What I need is for you to stop being a problem. Victor settled into his chair, swirling the scotch. You're a brilliant woman, Kiana. I've always admired that. When I approached you 2 years ago about partnership opportunities, I genuinely hoped we could work together. You mean when you tried to bribe me to ignore your theft? I prefer to call it a mutually beneficial arrangement. Your software is revolutionary. All I wanted was to share it with interested parties who could appreciate its true value. You mean hostile foreign governments and terrorist organizations? Victor shrugged. The word terrorist is so subjective. One nation's terrorist is another's freedom fighter. I simply provide tools. What people do with those tools is their business. Alec had been studying the room, noting exits and positions of the 4 guards standing by the doors. They were professionals, ex-military by their bearing, alert and ready. No way to fight through them. You can't kill us, Kiana said. We've sent everything to the FBI. By morning, federal agents will be knocking on your door. Will they? Victor smiled. I've been in this business 30 years, Miss Ford. I know how to protect myself. Any evidence you collected from Daniel's house, planted by a disgruntled employee trying to frame me. Any testimony Daniel might give. A delusional security officer with a grudge. I have witnesses who'll swear I was nowhere near any of these alleged conspiracies. You're that confident? I'm that prepared. He set down his glass. But I'm also reasonable. I don't want to kill you. Dead martyrs create investigations. Instead, I'm offering you a choice. Take $50 million and disappear. New identities, new lives. Anywhere in the world you want to go. You, and your janitor friend, and his little girl. The mention of Emma made Alec's hands clench into fists. In exchange, Victor continued. You sign papers transferring controlling interest of Nexus Technologies to Gregory Hunt. He'll run the company how I want, and everyone wins. Everyone, except the people who die when you sell their security to the highest bidder. Kiana shot back. People die every day. At least this way, you're not among them. Victor leaned forward. I like you, Kiana. I really do. But sentiment doesn't override business. You have until sunrise to decide. Take the money and live, or refuse, and disappear permanently, along with everyone you care about. He gestured to a laptop on his desk, turning it to face them. On screen was a live feed from a traffic camera. Mrs. Rodriguez's car pulled over on a dark highway, surrounded by 3 black SUVs. Alec's heart stopped. Emma was in that car. My men found them an hour ago, Victor said casually. Right now, they're just watching, making sure the old woman and the girl don't go anywhere. But if you make the wrong choice, well, accidents happen on dark highways. You monster, Alec breathed. I'm a businessman. Nothing more, nothing less. Victor stood. I'll give you some privacy to discuss. You have 30 minutes. He left, taking 3 of the guards with him. One remained by the door, weapon visible. The moment they were alone, Kiana turned to Alec. I'm so sorry. This is all my fault. If I'd never involved you, Emma would be safe. Don't. Alec's voice was harder than he intended. We're past that. We need to figure a way out. There isn't one. He has Emma. We have to take the deal. And then what? You think Victor just lets us walk away? We know too much. The moment we sign those papers, we're dead. Emma too. Kiana's face crumbled. Then what do we do? Alec thought about Sarah, his wife, in those final days before the cancer took her. She'd made him promise something. Promise me. You'll fight for what matters, Alec. Don't ever give up, no matter how hard it gets. Be the man I know you are. He'd kept that promise for 2 years, fighting through poverty and exhaustion to give Emma a good life. He wasn't going to stop now. We fight, he said simply. Against what? He has all the power. No, he doesn't. He has money and connections, but we have something he can't buy. We have truth, and we have each other. Alec pulled out his phone. And we have one advantage he doesn't know about. What's that? I grew up poor. Kiana. Really poor. The kind of poor where you learn to be invisible, to move through places people don't expect. Victor thinks like a rich man. He assumes walls and gates and guards are enough. But there's always a way in, always a weakness. He dialed a number. A voice answered, groggy and confused. Alec? It's 4 in the morning. What the hell? Tommy, I need a favor. Remember that thing you said you'd help with if I ever needed it? Tommy Chen, his friend from the hardware store, was instantly alert. I remember. What do you need? I need the crew. A pause. Man, we're not kids anymore. We don't do that stuff. This is for Emma. Someone's threatening my little girl. Another pause, longer this time. Where and when? Alec gave him the SAPE.org address. Soon as you can get here. And Tommy, bring everyone. After hanging up, he looked at Kiana. I have friends. People I grew up with who know how to handle problems the law can't fix. They'll be here in 45 minutes. That's after Victor's deadline. Then we stall him. Alec stood, walked to the guard by the door. The man tensed, hand moving toward his weapon. I need to use the bathroom. Alec said calmly. You can wait. I've been waiting. Unless you want me to go right here on Victor's expensive carpet. The guard considered, then spoke into a radio. A moment later, he nodded. Down the hall, 3rd door on the right. You have 2 minutes. Alec walked slowly, noting the layout of the house. Hallways, rooms, windows. When he reached the bathroom, he locked the door and immediately went to the window. It opened easily, a 2-story drop to bushes below. Painful, but survivable. He texted Tommy the layout details, then returned to the study. Feel better? The guard asked sarcastically. Much, thanks. Victor returned exactly 30 minutes after leaving. Well, what's your decision? Kiana looked at Alec, and in her eyes, he saw something shift. Fear giving way to determination. She'd spent her whole life building a company on principles of protection and security. She wasn't going to let a criminal destroy her. We have questions about the arrangement, she said. The $50 million. How would the transfer work? What guarantees do we have? Victor smiled, believing they were capitulating. He launched into explanations, legal structures, offshore accounts, and while he talked, precious minutes ticked by. At the 43-minute mark, the power went out. Darkness swallowed Victor's study. Emergency lighting kicked in after 3 seconds, bathing everything in red. The guards immediately went tactical, weapons drawn, scanning for threats. What the hell? Victor moved toward the window. Probably a transformer, one guard said into his radio. Checking, now. Alec knew better. Tommy had come through. The guard's radio crackled with panicked voices. We have intruders on the south fence. Multiple contacts. Then gunfire, sharp cracks in the night. That's a diversion. Victor snapped. Keep 2 men on our guests. But Alec was already moving. He grabbed the heavy Scotch decanter from Victor's desk and swung it at the nearest guard's head. The The man dropped. The second guard spun, bringing his weapon around. But Kiana threw herself at his legs. He stumbled, and Alec finished him with a solid punch to the jaw. "Go." Alec grabbed Kiana's hand, pulling her toward the hallway. They ran through the mansion as chaos erupted around them. More gunfire outside, shouting, the sound of breaking glass. Tommy and his crew were giving them the opening they needed. The server room. Kiana gasped as they ran. Daniel said it's in the basement. They found the stairs and descended into a corridor lined with expensive wine racks. At the end, a reinforced steel door with a keypad. Alec tried Daniel's access code. Nothing. "Different security system," Kiana said. "We need another way." Alec examined the door. Solid, probably blast, resistant. But the wall beside it was just drywall and studs. He grabbed a fire extinguisher from the wall mount and started hammering. It took 90 seconds to punch through, creating a hole large enough to climb through. Inside, banks of servers hummed in climate-controlled silence. Blinking lights cast everything in an eerie glow. Kiana went straight to the main terminal, her fingers flying over the keyboard. "I need time to break the encryption." "How much time?" 10 minutes, maybe 15. Alec dragged a desk to block the door. It wouldn't stop anyone, but it might slow them down. He pulled out his phone and called Tommy. "We're in the server room," he said when Tommy answered. "How long can you keep them busy?" "We got maybe 5 minutes before they realize we're just 12 guys with paintball guns and fireworks." "Where's Emma?" "Victor's men have her stopped on Highway 71, near Dripping Springs. I'll send Marco and Luis. They'll handle it." "Tommy, these guys are armed professionals. So were we, once upon a time. Don't worry about Emma. Just get what you came for and get out." The door shuddered as someone hit it from the other side, shouting in the hallway. Victor's men had found them. "Kiana, we need to move." "Almost there." Sweat beaded on her forehead as she worked. The encryption is military grade, but whoever set it up got lazy with the password protocols. "I'm in." The door splintered. An arm reached through, trying to move the desk. "Downloading now." Kiana plugged in a flash drive. "Come on, come on." Gunfire erupted in the hallway. Not Victor's men. Alec recognized the rhythm. Tommy had brought the fight inside. "Got it." Kiana yanked the flash drive free. Everything. Client lists. Transaction records. Communication logs. Enough to put Victor away for life. They climbed back through the hole in the wall as the door finally burst open behind them. Guards poured in, but Alec and Kiana were already running toward a service exit Tommy had marked on the layout. They emerged into pre-dawn darkness. Tommy stood by a rusted pickup truck, grinning despite the blood on his shirt. "You're hit," Alec said. "Flesh wound, I'll live." Tommy tossed him the keys. "Marco just called. They got Emma. She's safe." Relief flooded through Alec so powerfully his knees nearly buckled. "Where?" "Heading to the Austin Police Department downtown. Figured it's the safest public place until this is done." Sirens wailed in the distance. Real police, responding to reports of gunfire at a billionaire's estate. "We need to go," Kiana said. "Now, before Victor's people regroup." They piled into the truck. Alec drove, while Kiana called her forensics expert, arranging to meet at a secure location to verify the data they'd stolen. Behind them, Victor's estate burned. Tommy had set fires as additional distraction. Smoke rose into the lightening sky, like a funeral pyre for Victor's empire. "It's not over," Kiana said, clutching the flash drive. "Victor will come after us with everything he has. Let him try." Alec's hands were steady on the wheel. "We have the evidence, we have witnesses, and most importantly, Emma's safe. He's already lost." The FBI field office in Austin was a fortress of glass and concrete. Alec and Kiana walked through the front doors at 6:47 a.m., exhausted and bloodied, carrying evidence that would reshape the defense industry. Special Agent Rebecca Martinez met them in the lobby. Kiana's forensics expert had made the introduction, vouching for Martinez as one of the few federal agents with both the clearance and the integrity to handle what they had. Miss Ford. Martinez was 50, gray-haired, with eyes that had seen too much corruption. I've been expecting you. Conference room 3. They spent 6 hours going through everything. The flash drive data, the documents from Daniel's house, recorded conversations, financial records. Martinez brought in specialists. Computer forensics experts verified the files were authentic. Financial analysts traced the money flows. Attorneys cataloged the evidence for prosecution. This is enormous, Martinez said finally, leaning back in her chair. Victor Morse, 3 sitting congressmen, 2 generals, a dozen defense contractors. You've handed us the biggest national security case in 20 years. What happens now? Kiana asked. Now we move fast before Victor can destroy evidence or flee the country. I'm requesting immediate warrants for his arrest and the seizure of all Sentinel Solutions assets. By tonight, he'll be in federal custody. And Emma? Alex's voice was rough from exhaustion. My daughter. She's at the Austin PD with friends. We'll bring her here. Full protective custody until this is resolved. Martinez softened slightly. Mr. Jennings, what you did was incredibly brave and incredibly stupid. You could have been killed. But I wasn't. And now that bastard can't hurt anyone else. By noon, federal agents were executing raids across 3 states. Victor Morse was arrested at his estate, still in his expensive suit, still trying to maintain his dignity as they led him away in handcuffs. Gregory Hunt, Kiana's CFO, was taken from Nexus headquarters. Daniel Price surrendered peacefully at his home, trading cooperation for leniency. The news broke like a thunderstorm. Every major outlet picked up the story. Billionaire defense contractor arrested for treason. Tech CEO exposes massive conspiracy. Single father saves daughter and stops espionage ring. Alec watched the coverage from the FBI conference room, barely processing it. None of that mattered. What mattered was the knock on the door at 2 p.m. Emma burst in, running straight to him. Daddy! He caught her, held her tight, breathing in the strawberry scent of her shampoo. She was real, solid, safe. Hey baby, you okay? Mr. Marco and Mr. Luis were really cool. They let me sit in the front seat and everything, and they told me about when you were young and got in trouble for climbing the water tower. Alex shot a look at Tommy, who'd entered behind Emma. His friend shrugged, grinning. We had an exciting night, Tommy said. Kids got guts, didn't cry once, even when things got scary. Mrs. Rodriguez appeared next, looking tired but relieved. That's because I raised her right while you boys were playing hero. Thank you, Alec told her, for protecting her. That's what family does. Over the next week, more arrests followed. Victor's network was vast, but the evidence was overwhelming. Prosecutors were building cases that would take years to fully prosecute. Kiana worked with federal regulators to secure Nexus technologies, implementing new oversight, removing corrupted executives, rebuilding trust. The board voted unanimously to keep her as CEO. They didn't have much choice, she told Alec over coffee at the grind. Where this had all started. Every other candidate was either arrested or under investigation. You earned it. You fought for your company. We fought for it. She reached across the table, taking his hand. I couldn't have done this without you, Alec. You saved my life, risked everything for someone you barely knew. I knew enough. You were someone who needed help. They sat in comfortable silence, watching Austin go about its day through the window. Normal people living normal lives, unaware of how close they'd come to having their security compromised, their infrastructure vulnerable. What happens now? Alec asked. For us, I mean. Kiana smiled. That depends. The board approved a new position, Director of Physical Security. It comes with an actual salary, benefits, the works. Know anyone who might be interested? I'm a janitor who got lucky. You're a hero who saved a company and stopped traitors. The job's yours, if you want it. Alec thought about Emma. About the opportunities this could provide. About building something real instead of just surviving day to day. Yeah, he said. I want it. 3 months later, life had settled into something resembling normal. Alec worked at Nexus headquarters, building a security team from scratch. Real professionals, vetted thoroughly, people who understood loyalty meant more than money. Emma thrived in the gifted program, making friends who shared her love of science and dinosaurs. And Kiana became a fixture in their lives. Dinners at Alec's apartment, movie nights with Emma, quiet conversations after his daughter fell asleep about dreams and fears and possibilities. This is nice, Kiana said one evening, curled on his couch while Emma snored softly in her bedroom. Normal. I forgot what normal felt like. It won't last, Alec said. Something always comes up. He was right. The threat arrived via encrypted email to Kiana's personal account. No sender. No signature. Just a video file and a message. Victor sends his regards. The video showed Victor in prison, orange jumpsuit, speaking to the camera. Kiana, by now you think you've won. You've dismantled my organization, seized my assets, put me behind bars. But you made one critical mistake. You assumed I worked alone. His smile was chilling. I was middle management, nothing more. The people I answered to, they're still out there. And they're very displeased with the attention you've brought to their operations. Expect visitors soon. The video ended. Who's he talking about? Alec asked. Kiana was already on her phone, calling Martinez at the FBI. We need protection. Victor wasn't the top of the chain. Martinez arrived at Nexus within the hour, her face grim. We've been investigating Victor's communications. He was receiving orders from someone using the codename Architect. Multiple overseas accounts, shell corporations in 20 countries. Whoever the architect is, they've been running this operation for decades. Do we have any leads? 1. 3 days ago, a private jet landed in Austin, registered to a corporation that traces back to one of Victor's shell companies. We don't know who was on it, but they're here. That night, Alec insisted Kiana and Emma stay at a secure location. A safe house, the FBI maintained, guarded around the clock. Emma protested leaving her school friends, but one look at her father's face told her this was serious. More bad people? She asked quietly. Maybe, but we'll keep you safe, I promise. The attack came at 2 a.m., not at the safe house. At Nexus headquarters, Alec was working late, reviewing security footage, when the building's fire alarm went off. But it wasn't fire. It was gas, pumped through the ventilation system, knockout gas, military grade. He held his breath, running for the stairwell, but his vision was already blurring. He made it 3 floors down before his legs gave out. The last thing he saw before darkness took him was a figure in a gas mask, watching from the shadows. He woke to fluorescent lights and the smell of disinfectant. Not a hospital. Somewhere industrial, cold. His hands were zip-tied to a metal chair. Mr. Jennings. Finally awake. The voice came from behind him. Footsteps circled into view. A woman. Mid-50s. Elegant, in an expensive suit. Everything about her screamed power and money. I'm sorry we had to meet this way, she said. But you've become a problem. You and Miss Ford, both. Who are you? I'm the person Victor worked for. The person who built the network he was merely managing. And you've cost me billions with your heroics. She pulled out a tablet, showed him a live feed. Emma and Kiana, both unconscious, in a room similar to this one. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to convince Kiana to recant her testimony against Victor. You're going to say you fabricated evidence, that you were trying to extort money from her company. In exchange, I'll let your daughter live. And if I refuse, the woman smiled, then I'll make sure Emma watches you die before I kill her too. You have 24 hours to decide. She walked away, leaving Alec alone in the cold room, fighting against his restraints, desperate to save his daughter one more time. Alec spent 2 hours working the zip ties against the chair's metal edge. His wrists bled, but slowly, painfully, the plastic weakened. When they finally snapped, he nearly collapsed from relief. The room had one door, locked from outside, but there was a ventilation grate near the ceiling. Small, but Alec had spent his life making himself small and invisible. He climbed onto the chair, removed the grate, and squeezed through. The duct system was cramped and dark, but it led somewhere. Alec crawled through the darkness, following the sound of voices. Through another grate, he saw Emma and Kiana, still unconscious, in a room guarded by 2 men. He kept moving, searching for an exit, a phone, anything. The building was a warehouse, mostly empty, perfect for crimes that needed privacy. He found a loading dock and managed to pry open a rusted door. Outside was industrial Austin, warehouses and train yards. Alec ran to the nearest business, a 24-hour truck stop, and used their phone to call Martinez. "They have Emma and Kiana," he said without preamble. "Warehouse district, near the rail yard on East 5th. You need to come now. We're 10 minutes out." "Alec, don't do anything stupid." But Alec was already moving. He couldn't wait 10 minutes. The woman, this architect, could kill them at any moment. He needed to get back inside. The truck stop had a hardware section. Alec grabbed a crowbar and a can of spray paint. Not much, but it would have to do. He jogged back to the warehouse, his body screaming from exhaustion and pain. He entered through the loading dock, moving silently through shadows. The guards were professionals, but they weren't expecting him to come back. Alec used the crowbar on the first one, dropping him before he could shout. The second spun, reaching for his weapon, but Alec sprayed paint in his eyes. The man screamed, and Alec finished him with a punch that put all his desperate strength behind it. He burst into the room where Emma and Kiana were held. His daughter was awake now, tears streaming down her face, but she wasn't crying. She was angry. "Daddy." Emma launched herself at him when he cut her restraints. "I've got you, baby. You're safe. Now." Kiana stirred as he freed her. "Alec, how did you get out?" "Long story. We need to leave before she comes back." But they were too late. The architect stood in the doorway, no longer elegant. She held a gun, and her face was twisted with fury. "You should have stayed gone," she said. "Now I'll have to kill you all myself." "FBI is on the way," Alec said, stepping in front of Emma. "It's over. It's never over." She raised the gun, aiming at Kiana. "But I can at least remove the primary problem." Emma did something then that Alec would replay in his mind forever. His 9-year-old daughter, who'd spent the night terrified and alone, grabbed the spray paint can he'd dropped and threw it with perfect accuracy. It hit the architect's hand, knocking the gun aside. Alec didn't hesitate. He tackled the woman, wrestling for the weapon. They struggled, and the gun fired once, the sound deafening in the enclosed space. The bullet missed everyone, embedding in the concrete wall. Then, the room filled with FBI agents, weapons drawn, shouting commands. Martinez led them, and within seconds, the architect was on the ground in handcuffs, still screaming about how they didn't understand, how she'd built something that would outlast them all. In the chaos, Alec held Emma tight, and Kiana wrapped her arms around both of them. They stood like that, a makeshift family born from crisis, until the adrenaline faded and exhaustion took over. The aftermath took months. The architect, whose real name was Victoria Chen, faced charges in 3 countries. Her network was larger than Victor's, spanning continents, but with her arrest, it began to collapse. More arrests followed, more trials, more testimony. Kiana rebuilt Nexus Technologies with new purpose, new ethics. The company became known not just for its technology, but for its integrity. And Alec built a security team that protected not just the company, but its values. 6 months after that night in the warehouse, they stood together at Emma's school science fair. She'd built a replica of a velociraptor skeleton, complete with accurate bone structures and detailed documentation. "First place," Emma announced proudly, holding her blue ribbon. "The judges said I have a future in paleontology." You have a future in anything you want, Kiana told her. Later, as they walked to the car, Emma between them holding both their hands, Alec realized something. This was what victory looked like. Not the arrests, or the headlines, or the justice served. This quiet moment with the people he loved, safe and happy and together. Ice cream? He suggested. With extra sprinkles, Emma demanded. Always. Kiana agreed, squeezing his hand, and for the first time in years, Alec Jennings felt truly, completely at peace. 18 months later, Alec stood in the parking garage of Pinnacle Tower, the same place where everything had changed. But this time, he wasn't pushing a cleaning cart. He wore a tailored suit, still uncomfortable, but getting used to it, and carried a briefcase containing security protocols for Nexus Technologies' newest government contract. The parking garage had been renovated, better lighting, updated cameras, panic buttons every 50 feet. Alec had designed it all, ensuring no one would ever feel unsafe here again. Daddy, Emma's voice echoed across the concrete. She ran toward him, her backpack bouncing. No longer 9 but 11 now. Taller and more confident, Kiana followed at a more dignified pace, laughing at their daughter's enthusiasm. Their daughter. It still felt strange to think of Emma that way, but after 6 months of dating and another 6 of being engaged, the paperwork was almost finalized. Kiana would officially become Emma's second mother next month. How was the museum? Alec asked, catching Emma in a hug. Amazing. They have a new Cretaceous exhibit with a complete Triceratops skeleton. Kiana took so many pictures. Emma pulled out her phone, scrolling through dozens of images. And the guide said, I asked better questions than most adults. That's because you're smarter than most adults, Kiana said, reaching them. She kissed Alec quickly, then studied his face. Long day. Victor's sentencing hearing. I had to testify again. How many years? 45. No parole. Alec felt no satisfaction in it, just relief. Victoria got life plus 20. The architect's empire is officially dismantled. They walked together toward Kiana's car, a sensible sedan now, instead of the luxury vehicles she used to drive. She'd sold most of them, donated the money to organizations fighting corruption. Her priorities had shifted. Mrs. Rodriguez called, Kiana said as they drove toward their new house in a quiet neighborhood. She wants to know if Emma can help her at the community center this weekend. They're teaching kids about college applications. Can I, Daddy? Emma leaned forward from the back seat. Mrs. Rodriguez says I'm a good role model because I work hard in school. Of course you can. Their house was modest compared to what Kiana could afford, but it had a big backyard where Emma could play and a garage Alec had converted into a workshop. Home wasn't about size anymore. It was about the people inside. Over dinner, Emma talked about her plans to attend a summer science camp at the University of Texas. Tommy stopped by with his wife, bringing dessert and stories about the community center he now ran, funded by a generous anonymous donation from Nexus Technologies. Mrs. Rodriguez arrived with her famous empanadas, still treating Alec like the struggling single father she'd helped raise Emma, even though everything had changed. After everyone left and Emma was in bed, Alec and Kiana sat on the back porch, watching fireflies dance in the darkness. Do you ever think about that night? Kiana asked. In the parking garage. Every day, it changed everything. You could have walked away, should have walked away, but you didn't. Neither did you. You could have taken Victor's money, disappeared, lived safely somewhere, but you fought. Kiana leaned against him. I was thinking about the company. We've grown 40% this year. Government contracts are flooding in. Everyone wants to work with the CEO who exposed corruption instead of hiding it. You built something real. Something good. We built it. You, me, Emma, Tommy, Mrs. Rodriguez, everyone who stood with us. That's what makes it real. From inside, they heard Emma's voice, calling out in her sleep. Something about velociraptors. They both smiled. She's going to do amazing things, Kiana said. Change the world, probably. She already changed mine. Alec thought about the man he'd been 18 months ago, exhausted and barely surviving, working 3 jobs and wondering if Emma would have any opportunities. Now his daughter had every door open to her, and it was because he'd made one choice to help someone who needed it. "Thank you," Kiana whispered, "for saving my life. Thank you for saving mine." They sat in comfortable silence, 2 people who'd found each other in the worst circumstances and built something beautiful from the wreckage. Above them, stars emerged one by one, infinite and bright. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. Emma's school projects, Nexus board meetings, security protocols to review, the normal complicated beautiful chaos of life. But tonight, in this moment, everything was exactly as it should be. And in the parking garage, where a janitor had once fought off kidnappers to save a stranger, new employees walked safely to their cars, protected by systems designed by the man who understood that everyone deserved to feel secure. Some stories end with happily ever after. This one ended with something better. Purpose, family, and the knowledge that doing the right thing, no matter the cost, was always worth it. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell, so you don't miss any upload from us.